that's embarrassing. My mic was muted the whole time. So, Charles out with 1.9 gap to Plexus, who's still got Klinsmann right up behind him, putting a lot of pressure on. Then we're into the GTs. So only 3 hypercars this stint. And the hypercars are all just kind of grouped up together, same as the GTs. Got Flipsy right up behind Jailbird at the end of this big pack, with Schaffner getting a penalty, so he's going to go down to the back, you would think. Oh no, gets back in control just in time for Flipsy. But Flipsy sending it down the inside, little bit of contact, a little bit more contact, but only a bit of rubbing, not that bad. And keeps the position for now. Jailbird now with a penalty this time, so Schaffner will be able to take it. Oh, and a massive just incident for Schaffner there, but keeps it under control and Flipsy takes the position. And with Jailbird's penalty just in front of him, Flipsy should just be able to take the lead. Well, take the lead of this pack and try and catch up the Porsche and the Lexus. And Flipsy just flies around the outside of him, and now he's on the charge to try and get the Porsche, which is Johnny. A very nice livery, by the way. I absolutely love this. Bit slidey going into turn 1, but keeps the foot planted. Then Hublic's leading the GT class with a pretty sizable lead for the first 4 laps of the race. And let's have a look at Hypercar. So Klinsmann still behind Plexus. Plexus dropping back from Charles, so Charles getting a pretty big lead at the minute. Charles getting reeled back in a little bit by Plexus, so still not all over yet for them at the minute in the first stint. Oh, Plexus with a massive twitch there. Let's go back and have a look at the GTs. So Flipsy's now got a decently big gap to the BMW behind Schaffner, Schaefer, which is nice to see. He's now on the charge for the Porsche. Which that gap is staying pretty similar down the straight, so they both got a decent exit in, decent aero. And Hubley just still pulling away the tiniest bit lap after lap, being very consistent in the first opening stage of this lap, well, this race. Same as Johnny, to be honest, doing just a little bit quicker than Johnny, so that's why he's able to pull away. Flipsy had a little bit longer to get up to speed, but is catching up pretty quickly now. And then Schaefer, who just got overtaken by Charles for the first lap of the race. Well, second actually, because Jailbird. Jailbird is a little bit more inconsistent in times at the minute, and Schaefer is starting to get consistent now, which is what you need. Two DLL teammates just taking it past each other, nice and calmly. And now next is the Porsche for Charles. Would he catch it at the worst time possible through the S's? Yes, he has. But Johnny knows better and lets him by. Then Hoblex is still getting on, building the gap up in. At the minute of 5 seconds is not bad for 7 laps. Just can he keep this pace up for the whole race? Which, if you watched him on, he probably will. Then we have Klinsmann, who's still 4 seconds behind Plexus, and then Charles still with around a 3-second gap to Plexus, which is not bad at all, but Plexus not letting him go as easy as Charles would hope. Now Hovelix having the other WSR car lap him now, and just doing it nice and cleanly, letting him overtake on the outside, doing it textbook how he's supposed to. Johnny's still being pretty consistent and just trying to stay as consistent as possible is key for endurance, as you will all know. Yeah, lap 7 he did a 118, but I believe that was when he had to kind of lick off and let Charles through, if I remember correct, which still is not a bad time. Overlegs still doing it constant 117s, which is very consistent. Really nice to see that he can keep the pace up at the minute. Then Klinsmann still being a little bit off every now and then, but getting up to the pace and keeping it there for as much as possible. Like, Plexus has pulled out another second on him, but it has taken a few laps for him to do that. And Plexus is still within 3 seconds of Charles going through the S's, which is really good, to be honest. Still making Charles try and fight for it and not giving it on a silver platter. So Charles still trying to break away from that 3-second gap which he's got at the minute, which is going up decently fast, but then goes down through the S's. So that is definitely a setup difference between the two cars, which is going to be massive to see between both of them. Still just got to the 4-second mark there. Let's see how much it goes down now. Not by a lot, to be honest. It's still around the 4-second mark, so he is pulling away slowly, just trying to get it as fast as possible as Charles just sets the first fastest sector 1. So can he keep up the pace and set the fastest lap of the race at the minute? As he approaches Jailbird to lap him for the second time. Still pretty nice exit out of it, keeping everything as clean as possible. Half tenth off, still very consistent though. And the gap back down to 3.3, which Plexus is still fighting to try and keep up with Charles, and is doing so with near enough the same lap times. Actually, the past few laps he has been quicker. Klusman with the fastest lap at the minute, which is a 107.86. No, 107.086, which is really he's really consistent around that time as well. So hopefully he can start reeling Plexus back in, and we can have a proper battle towards the end to see who wins. But for now, it isn't about lap time, it's about consistency in not doing anything stupid. So Hobelex now with a 7.8 second gap, so starting to pull away from the rest of the GT class. Then Johnny with a 3-second gap to the next car behind, which is Flipsy, who's starting to reel him in down the straight. It's that Aston with either better top speed or less aero, just kind of helping him a little bit to get more lap time. And then Flipsy has a gap to Schaefer of 11 seconds, and then Schaefer to Jailbird 17.4 seconds. So they're all starting to find their rhythm now and trying to keep in that rhythm as much as possible. Charles still with the fastest, like still within the 107s for all of the laps on the screen bar one, which I believe was held up by traffic. And Charles now on the back of Flipsy. Flipsy just staying out to the side, giving him as much room as possible, so that his teammate doesn't get impeded too much. Now straight onto the back of Johnny in the Porsche. How's he going to fare with his teammate next? Just lets him go by casually. So that's that. And now Zeplex is up. So is he going to try and hold him up a little bit? No. Just sticks to his normal line. And Flipsy starting to gain on Johnny. The gap's now down to 2.3 seconds. So Johnny is just that little bit slower than Flipsy, but Flipsy now has another hypercar behind him, but not gonna lose that much time because of it. So could still keep on reeling Johnny in. Gap now down to 2.2. Now let's go through now and see what the fuel's like. So Charles with still pretty decent tyres, just over a quarter of fuel left, and a decent amount of hybrid still left. Plexus is around the same, maybe a little bit less on the front left, but still pretty good on the tyre wear. And Klusman has the exact same tyre wear as Plexus, maybe a little bit more fuel and maybe a little bit more battery, but still pretty good from the hypercars. Then Obelix has really good tyres, to be honest, left on that Lexus, and then just over a quarter of fuel left. Meanwhile Johnny has a bit worse tyres but less fuel, just under a quarter for Johnny, so this could play out massively, just that little bit of fuel, because that would mean that Obelix could stay out for just that little bit longer, probably gain like 10 seconds of free air, and just not have to worry about trying to get out before Johnny if Johnny wants to go for another lap. Then Flipsy getting the gap down to a 1.1 and gaining pretty quickly. Just beat his personal best by 2 tenths, so really good. Johnny now being affected by the dirty air though, so the car just washes out a little bit more, making it more unstable through the technical section of the S's. But Johnny with a 0.5 second penalty. Is this just enough for Flipsy to get the position back? I believe it will be, but you never know. Now down to 0.3, yeah, this is more than enough. We got Flipsy just pulls right onto the inside, breezes past him like it's nothing, and jobs out. But now he's got Johnny behind him, which might not be as easy as you think to defend against. The Merc of Jailbird's still not up to the pace of the others yet, but getting there slowly. Then Schaffner, getting very close to the pace of the other three, but not that bad really, just a few mistakes or not hitting a apex properly is all that could cause that, so that was very good times from him. Johnny's still trying to catch Flipsy again. He's trying to fight for that position back, and just a bit too far back to do a big send into the bus stop here. But if he gets a better exit, might be able to set it up for next lap. Gap still around 1.1 seconds between them, so not that bad really. But these two do need to remember that they are technically teammates and kind of have to work together. Well, not have to, but should kind of work together to help each other and not damage each other's race. And Harbourlake's still around like 10-second gap now, so just casually pulling it out slowly, just trying to make sure he can secure the win for WSR in the GT class. WSL Klusman is about 10 seconds away now from Plexus, so he's starting to drop back a bit. Now his tyres are looking about the same as Plexus, but still not the best for 23 minutes of the race. But fuel wise, he is looking a little bit better. Now, I have noticed that the WSR team are very good at fuel in hybrid saving, so that could play a huge part towards the end of the race, when no one else has hybrid, but they have that tiny little bit left. Plexus getting held up by SAL a little bit, but still getting past them and not losing that much time. But Charles now with a 10-second gap to Plexus, starting to get to the point where he's able to get a gap and hope that the lap cars he gets past will affect Plexus a little bit. And Johnny now the next car, and Charles's mad dash. Hopefully nothing bad happens, but you never know in drones. And Johnny just knows he's coming up, just moves out to the outside, and that's that. Flipsy's the next one, and he's caught in a bit of a bad situation, but just keeps it out a little bit wider than usual. Lets Charles just go straight through. Now how's Plexus going to do with the same lap cars? Going to be a few laps before we find out, because of where he is on track. But if he catches them in the wrong place, it's not going to be the easiest for them. Plexus might be able to get Johnny on the run down to the bus stop, which, yes, he has. Now, where's he going to catch Flipsy? Down just through the final curve, just switches it on him from the outside to the inside line. Very good move, to be honest, in making it as safe as possible as well. Not forcing the GT car to try and stay as far in the inside as possible, because the GT cars like to wash out a lot more than the LMDH cars. Plex is starting to get the gap down to Charles a little bit, so the gap's now 8 seconds, which is 2 seconds in 2 laps is not that bad. A gap, it's just, can he keep it up now and keep knocking the 2 seconds out until he's right behind him. Lexus kind of catching the Lexus of Hoblex up in a bad place, but just keeping his cool, biding his time and playing it safe. Trying not to get a penalty from the stewards after the race, which definitely won't for anything like that. Klusman's still kind of around 8 seconds gap to Plexus and having a decent battle trying to get up to him. But if I was him, I'd be looking to try and do an alternate strategy and get a cutback or something on him. Then Hoblex just still in the lead of GTs, this time by 12 seconds, which is really good. Well, really big of a gap for this late, well, this early into the race. His teammate Klusman just behind him, just biding his time, making sure he doesn't force his teammate into a mistake. And nicely done lap. And Flipsy's still around 2 seconds in front of Johnny, in just really trying to reel Hoblex in without making a mistake so that Johnny will go through again. Then Johnny with a 20-second lead to Schaefer. Then Jailbird another 30 seconds behind him. So the back of the GT field is starting to get dropped quickly, but the top 3 are really in it. Now let's go back up to the GT. So Charles now with a 11-second lead, starting to pull away from Plexus again. Plexus with a 10-second gap to Klusman. So that's just starting to edge out little bit by little bit, and now adding up. Klusman's still going a bit wide. And has massive damage now from that. Let's watch a replay of that. watch a replay of that again from inside. Just loses it, understeers, and goes straight into the barrier there, and gets massive damage because of it. Now this is going to affect Klusman's race massively, and now goes off even further, trying to not impede his teammate. Good afternoon, Flame. How's it going? Now, Klusman is probably going to pit, and we'll see how that affects what the other two do. Whether they try and play a little bit safer, seeing that someone's just lost it so easily, or do they just keep going at it to try and make sure that no one else can creep up on them. Flex is navigating the traffic pretty well. Now 13 seconds behind Charles, but has no pressure from behind, so doesn't have to worry about that and can just focus ahead. Plexus probably about to lap, has actually lapsed Klusman, same as Charles. So that's put a massive dent in Klusman's race to try and win this stint, but it's not about winning the stints, it's about consistency. So anything can still happen yet in these 1.5 hours to go. Well, 1.5 hours to go. We're just over the quarter mark of this stint. Plexus reeling Charles in a bit, now at 12.8 seconds. So the pressure from behind being lifted now might just allow him to look ahead and not have to worry about anything. Jailbird now in the pits, he's fueling up to half probably in the Merc. Still new softs. Schaefer in for a pit stop as well on 0 fuel, so he timed that perfectly. Johnny 23 seconds in front, probably going to come in this lap with how much fuel he's got. Flipsy probably going to do the same, and Hoblex still with a decent amount of fuel left, probably going to come in the next 3 or 4 laps, which is not bad for him at all. It helps him a hell of a lot. Now is Flipsy going to come in? Yes. Is Johnny going to follow him? Johnny is following him as well. So Hoblex now just can use as much fuel as he can, try and put as big as a gap, while Flipsy and Johnny both fuel up and try and just increase this gap as much as possible, because this can help him massively. Or Johnny can come in, like push through this lap, come in and fuel up to what he would usually do, and then be able to go a little bit further, because them softs will last that little bit further. And then his next fuel stop can be a little bit quicker because of that. So it's a choice that he might will have to make, and it looks like he's staying out. Yep. So Hoblex opting to try and run away with this win at the minute. Flipsy only just going through the S's, Johnny right behind him. So Hoblex trying to chase him down. If he can lap them by the time he comes into the pits, that is a huge advantage for him. Because they've got to go a whole lap by the time he goes in the pits and gets fuel and shit. Plexus sending it down the inside a little bit, but still leaving a decent amount of space for Hoblex to stay in. Flipsy with still about a minute behind, but going through the bus stop now. Hoblex just coming up to the bus stop. Is he going to be able to lap Flipsy and Johnny before he gets in the pits? Hoblex still staying out, as you can see in the background. And just doing enough to stay out that little bit long, stay out of his range and not get lapped, because he knows that that will be a huge advantage for him. Hoblex just coming out of the hairpin now, and still about 4 seconds away from Johnny, but closing in ever so slightly lap by lap. Not only because he has less weight, but the tyres will be up to temperature, apart from, well, other than Flipsy and Johnny's, which will probably be getting up to temperature now, but still might be a little bit sliding. So Hoblex still trying to chase him down before he gets into the pits. Kloosman, after the incident he had, just trying to get back into a rhythm and trying to keep the car back on the track. Plex is still trying to chase Charles down, but Charles building that gap lap after lap, now at 17.2 seconds. So Charles can now start to breathe, start to try and fuel save. Speaking of fuel, Charles is nearly empty, and Plexus maybe has one lap more. And then Kloosman, because of his incident, has got half tank, so he's probably trying to overlap them in a minute. Charles still building the gap little after little and coming into the pits actually. So he's trying to undercut Plexus, trying to hope that Plexus Plexus is following him in the pits, not trying to overlap him a little bit and get that extra clean air just to take the gap down a little bit. Charles at about 40% so far. Plex is only just starting to refuel back up. Charles leaving at 50% fuel. So Charles is just trying to do one stint on the softs and not. Plexus with the exact same amount of fuel, so strategy is not at play here. It's just down to whoever the fastest. And Hoblex in the pits as well, getting the fuel put in now. Still a minute to Flipsy, so Flipsy and Johnny are really trying to catch up now and not lose as much time as possible. Charles still with around an 18-second gap, just able to keep as consistent as he can on their lap times. Obelix now out of the pits. Let's see how much of a gap he has to the cars behind in the GT class. Just calculating it down to around a 20-second gap. Johnny and Flipsy both with a 6-second gap between each other, and a lap car between Flipsy and Johnny, so that could play a part in their battle as well. Jailbird being one of the slower of the GT, but still keeping it pretty consistent. I say that, but it's a little bit slightly, but keeping under control, not doing anything stupid. Now how's Johnny going to deal with a lapsed GT car between him and Flipsy, who's now starting to build a gap up to 7 seconds, so not bad. But Hoblex still with a 20-second lead and just building up 10th by 10th each lap. Obelix now at a 21-second gap, so starting to pull it back out and hoping that Flipsy and Johnny's strategies don't align with his strategy for the next stop. And Obelix just moving out of the way for Klusman, trying not to impede his race anymore and let him try and catch back up to Plexus and Charles. Plexus being 47 seconds ahead of Klusman, so he is bringing it back slowly. But Plexus with the tiniest bit left of battery, and Charles with a little bit more. And Plexus, even though he's pitted earlier, has not a lot more battery left. So that will start to slow his lap time down as well. Charles was now a 16-second gap, so it's starting to come down between him and Plexus. Plexus just reeling him in lap after lap, just like the tiny little bits count in these battles. Hoblex still with around a 21-second gap, so he is pulling it out a little bit. but not as much as he would be hoping. Flipsy with a 7-second gap between him and Johnny, so starting to build a gap between him now as well. So just everyone's now kind of in their rhythm, just in their gaps, in doing their own thing. Johnny's still behind Jailbird in that Mercedes, so how's he going to deal with the lapped car between him and Flipsy? This is probably the reason why the gap has now gone up to nearly 9 seconds. Johnny's still behind him going down the back straight. Just not catching him up as much as he would hope. That Merc's got a decent straight line speed compared to the Porsche. And closing in on the braking, but still not enough to get the place back on the exit. Gap to Flipsy now 9.5 seconds, so really starting to pick up because of the lapped car between them. Flipsy's rubbing his hands at this point, hoping that it just keeps on coming. Because overtaking another GT car is not easy on this circuit. You have to alter your lines massively, which just slows you down a lot more. Johnny's still closing in on the braking, just sending it down the inside, not having enough of it anymore, and just making a stick, giving him that and just enough room, and Jailbird having the quick correction which he did to not turn anymore. Johnny now starting to pull the gap back, but it's already at 10 seconds. Can he bring it back from this? Public's now just biding his time now, 22 seconds nearly. So pretty good gaps for him, just keep it consistent. Every lap bar lap 29 has been 117s from what you can see, so very consistent. Klusman's still around, not as consistent as he was because of that incident, like still a little bit shaky probably, but keeping very good. Still bringing that gap down a little bit, now at 53 seconds though. And Plex is still with a 20-second gap, well, 18-second gap between him and Charles, so he is bringing it down a little by little. I think Charles is just getting a little bit out. A little bit out of shape every now and then, which Plex is just capitalising on it, bringing the lap time down a little bit. Charles now hitting another back marker. Just sends it down the inside. Charles now keeps the pace going, and another back marker in front of him is Johnny. Is his teammate gonna get out of the way or notice he was there or not? Just using the slipstream at the minute. trying to get as much top speed as possible and just flies straight past Johnny. Now the gap down to 17 seconds though, so Plex is starting to bring it back again. Charles still with the fastest lap of this race though, still on a 1 minute 6.7. Charles still having that gap drop down a little bit to Plexus, which could be starting to worry him and might be able to force just tiny mistakes out of Charles. But you never know. And then Klusman's still 1 minute and 10 behind Plexus, just starting to drop back a lot more now. Obelix now with a 24-second gap to Flipsy, so he's starting to pick it back up again. Flipsy still around the 10-second mark to Johnny, so still staying pretty consistent between the two. Schaffner staying about 30 seconds behind Johnny, so he's getting there. But Jailbird with 50 seconds to him, so he is not long going to be laps by Shelf. In the next 20 laps, there'll be laps probably. Now let's go and look at fuel again. So going in just before the halfway mark, Charles has a decent bit over a quarter of a tank left, but no hybrid, and has decent health left on his tyres. Plexus has the same tyre wear and just a little bit more fuel, so just able to fuel save a little bit more as him and Charles both put the same amount of fuel in. And Klusman has been on these tyres for a little bit longer, has a decent bit more tyre wear though, but not that much less fuel to be honest, so he could be able to bring it back through the next pit stops. Hobbelix, first one of the GT class, pretty good tyre wear to be honest, and just over a quarter of a tank of fuel, so not bad. Flipsy has a lot more tyre wear on the left hand side, but then a lot more fuel, so Flipsy might be able to just reel him back in after Hobbelix had his pit stop and just able to do a bit quicker. Johnny has about the same tyre wear and fuel as Flipsy, maybe a little bit more, and just carries on motoring around and trying to catch up to Flipsy, who now has a 11.5 second gap, so it's starting to pull it back again. Chef now is just under half a tank of fuel left and decent fuel tyre wear to be honest, so just doing pretty well in that department and might be able to bring him back into the race towards the end, as you see Charles getting back up behind him and lapping him once again. And then Jailbird with about a quarter of a tank left and a decent bit more tyre wear, so he could be a lot slower towards the end of the race, as he's going to have more pit stops. Charles now with a 20-second gap to Plexus, so opening up a little bit more, but Plexus being very consistent with the times and just picking up on any mishap which Charles might have. And then Klusman dropping back even further, now a minute and 32 behind. Harblek's still gaining on Flipsy and now having a 24-second gap, so he's doing very well for how early it is, well, for the halfway mark of the race, and putting in his personal best as well, so staying very consistent, as you can see. Flipsy now with an 11-second gap, so he's starting to pull that gap out, so Johnny a lot more. Then Schaeffner and Jailbird both lapped. Jailbird's been lapped once, Schaeffner's been lapped. Jailbird's been lapped twice, Schaeffner's only been lapped once at the minute. But Schaeffner's 30 seconds behind Johnny, and Jailbird 53 seconds behind him. So it's pretty fair to say that these two are going to have to step on it if they want to get back into the race towards the end. Charles now with a 21-second gap. So let's actually do an onboard with Charles, because just do an onboard with Charles and then do an onboard with Plex and see what we can see between both of them. So Charles coming into the bus stop now. Coming through the S's now, just being as smooth as possible on the steering, just not shaving as much time as possible. Hard braking into the first of the 90 rights for the hairpin. Now coming out of the hairpin, just smoothing the accelerators and not spinning the rear wheels up. And just gliding past his teammate. Now with a 22.8 second gap. Back into the bus stop, just smooth as possible on the steering. Ignore the fuel, remaining fuel thing is a glitch, which I don't get what is happening. And that's a lap with Charles, and now let's do a lap with Plex to see what he's like. Going through the bus stop, just keeping it in a high gear so he doesn't spin the wheels up and lose it. Going through the final corner across the line into turn 1, with Jailbird there, how's he going to deal with it? Just brakes a little bit earlier, goes onto the inside. Being a little bit smoother on the accelerator and just throwing it in a lot more. But being smooth through that final section of the technical sector. Losing half a second though because of the laps car, the point he caught it up out of the hairpin, just being as smooth as possible, rolling the power on and just making it as smooth as possible as it can be without losing any grip or time. Now pulling the gap back down to 21.5 seconds, so pulling Charles in that lap, but having a little bit of a moment coming out of the final section, the final corner of the bus stop. So he's in 1.2 that lap, so he can go a lot quicker. Just making tiny little mistakes which is costing him a lot. Charles now with the gap back up to 22 seconds. Now Charles with the gap up to 24 seconds, so just pulling it out slowly. Plexus with a little bit less consistent lap times now, so Charles is capitalising on that, keeping his lap times as consistent as possible. Coming up to a lapped car, or just taking a little bit too much curb and settling the car. Havlic's now with a 25-second lead, so starting to pull it out from Flipsy again. Flipsy with a 13-second gap to Johnny, so pulling that out as well. And Johnny actually losing time to Schaefer. It was 50 seconds last time we checked, now it's 41 seconds, so losing near enough 9 seconds over a few minutes, which could be a mistake from Johnny or could just be Schaefer starting to get in the rhythm of things, which it looks like Schaefer just starting to get in the rhythm. And Johnny with a half-second penalty as well, going to add more insult to injury. Let's see how much Johnny loses from that half-second penalty. Loses about 7/10, which isn't that bad down that straight. And now trying to reel Flipsy back in after the gap's now up to 14 seconds. Plexus now got the gap back down to 21 seconds, so he's starting to bring it back. A little bit sideways out the exit of the hairpin, but keep it going. And losing a bit of time down the straight because of the tiny bit of sideways towards the exit of the hairpin. But Johnny keeping the gap around 14 seconds to Flipsy, so not losing that much time. Just Flipsy must just be capitalising on stupid mistakes, which Johnny's having done. But WSR still running away with the GT class at the minute. WEC's just being as consistent as possible. Not having Plexus catch him at probably the best time to have a hypercar catch you. And just pulls it along to the side, lets him go past. Acts like nothing's happening. Flipsy in the pits with 19% fuel because of front end damage. No, nobody else has damage, so this could be anything. But this now means that Johnny is taking back third place in the race. So, can Johnny keep the gap like this to the end of the race for the next 50 minutes? Flipsy going for 80% fuel. So he's trying to go to the end on that fuel then and just do a tyre change probably. Let's see whereabouts he comes out. Behind Schaefer, so Schaefer's back up into 4th for the GT class, so his race is starting to come back alive again. And Johnny, 40-second lead to Schaefer, so Flipsy has lost a lot of time because of that. And to add more insult to it, 3-second penalty for pit exit. So SAL getting a place back just from being consistent and not making a massive incident. So down to about 50 minutes, so let's look at fuel. Charles with a decent bit under quarter of a tank, but still not that low. Plexus with a decent bit more fuel, but no hybrid compared to Charles's tiny little bit of hybrid. And the tyre wear is a lot higher for Plexus. Klusman, on the other hand, has even more tyre wear than Plexus, but has that little bit more hybrid and less fuel. So his strategy's not coming into play at the minute. And Hoblicks with a decent bit of tyre wear and not that much fuel. Johnny with just a little bit more fuel than Hoblicks, but a lot less tyre wear. Well, a lot more tyre wear, sorry. So he's going to be starting to feel them tyres now. Schaeffner with the tyres being a decent bit better than Johnny's, and with a decent bit more fuel. And Flipsy with brand new tyres, 3/4 of a tank of fuel. It's going to be looking to go to the end on that. And Jailbird having an off moment with very low fuel and very high tyre wear. So he'll be coming in, trying to do his final stop in the next lap or two. Charles now with a 25-second lead to Plexus. So a bit of hybrid which he had, it just helped him pull out a little bit more. Plexus now harvested a little bit more hybrid. So is he going to try and launch an attack on Charles, who has just gapped another second on him? And Klusman's still very low. Charles running into a bit of a difficult situation with lap traffic, but getting through him eventually. Plexus still staying out even though he's got pretty low fuel. And Charles been able to recharge a bit of the battery quickly through one lap, and also pulling out another 2 seconds with now a 25-second gap. So yeah, he's really starting to run away with this race. Plexus having a bit of an incident with Johnny. Let's see what happened there. Oh, with Flipsy. Just coming in, sends it into the hairpin. There's a little bit of rubbing, and Flipsy just gets sent onto the grass a little bit and unsettles the car. Plexus trying to bring the gap down as much as he can. It's still staying at around 24 seconds, so he's trying, but it's not enough to bring it down quick enough for the end of the race, I don't think. Hoblex now with a 46-second lead in the GT class. So he's really starting to run away now. Taking a little bit too much curb on settling the car there though. And even getting a 1 second penalty, so that's going to cost him a bit, but he's got 46 seconds, so he's not going to be too worried about it. Johnny with a 42-second gap to Schaefer, and Flipsy with a 33-second gap to Schaefer, so he's really starting to do it. And Jailbird in the pits for fuel and tyres, which I thought he would be coming in soon. How much fuel is he going to put in? Flipsy just about to go around and lap Jailbird again. Go around the final corner on the run up to T1 now. You can hear the tyres just wanting to stop getting punished, but that's how you're supposed to drive these GTs. And he even has Johnny behind him just about to lap him, so the battle between Johnny and Flipsy might be over. And Jailbird coming out with 68% fuel, so he believes that's enough to get to the final, to get to the white flag. Charles now bringing the gap out to 27 seconds, so bringing out another 2 seconds. And really making the gap between DLL and Don even bigger. Klusman still a lap behind and not able to pick back up. Hobelex with a 48-second lead now to Johnny, who's now in the pits with 6% fuel, putting brand new softs on and putting fuel in. This should be his final stop. Schaffner, is he able to get past Johnny before he comes out of the pits? And able to get SAL up into second for a bit. We find out as he crosses the line now. And no, Johnny with 59% on his exit. And Schaffner actually making it past Johnny, so Johnny's going to have a lot more work to do on his exit. And Klusman now coming into the pits for his final stop. Hobelex with with still a decent bit of fuel in, but it's only just started flashing. So is he going to come in this lap and try and have a bit of a faster pit stop, or is he going to drain his fuel and just go all the way to the end? Johnny 11 seconds behind Schaffner, so is he just going to wait until Schaffner pits? And Klusman back out, and with another 3-second penalty. Hobelex with that much of a gap that it now isn't showing up, so he's actually lapped Schaffner as well. And yellow flag, who's that for? Oh, Klusman off into the grass and not moving. Let's see what that's because of. Just out judging his braking and beaching it into the grass. And still not moving. Could this be Klusman just giving up? Charles now with a 30-second gap to Plexus. As Klusman is still not moving. And Holobex is in the pits. Is Schaffner going to get his lap back? Yes, he is. Schaffner on the comeback from a pretty poor start, but showing that a poor start doesn't mean you have to give up. And Charles in the pits with a 30-second gap to Plexus, so is Plexus going to come in? And Klusman might have technical problems, we have no idea. And Plexus is following Charles into the pits, so Charles is going to have to book it as soon as he exits the pits and try and get as much gap as possible. Klusman now starting to move again after losing a lot of time to Plexus and Charles. And for more insult, he's going to have to serve the fight 3 seconds anyway. Charles just on the pit exit. Now he knows that he's going to have to be as quick as possible to get the gap even bigger. WEC with a 3-second penalty and for pit exit probably, and Flipsy taking his lap back again. Plexus now on the pit exit, thinking 47% is enough to get out. Taking a little bit more fuel than Charles, so could be a little bit slower, could be just the perfect amount. But being held up by Johnny in the fastest part of the sector, so not the easiest place to overtake, but just biding his time, making sure he doesn't get a penalty for sending him into the shadow realm. And now Charles bringing out a 31-second gap, so even bigger than before. And Klusman getting back up to racing speeds, so it must have just been a technical problem for Klusman. Yellow flag somewhere else for Flipsy. There was no damage, just kept it going, I think. Just gets a little bit too much curb when settles the car, but saves it from hitting a wall or anything. And moves out the way as quick as possible to not impede anyone else. Schaffner now in the pits, so Johnny's got his got second place back. Flipsy, will he be able to get third place back and try and bring the fight to Johnny again? Now that Charles overtaking Flipsy. Flipsy taking third back from Schaffner, so on the comeback for Johnny trying to get his second place back. Charles still at about 31-second lead, so just staying consistent and not making any mistakes like he needs to. Klusman about 4 minutes behind now because of that technical issue he had. And WEC now with a 50-second gap. To Johnny, who has 33-second gap to Flipsy, so Flipsy is reeling him back in after having a 35-second gap, so he is getting closer. Flipsy getting a little bit unstable there. but keeping control of the car this time. Schaffner getting a little bit closer. Now taking it down to 11.5 second gap. Let's have a look at fuel 30 minutes ago. So Charles just under half a tank. That should be enough for him to stay to the end of the race. Plexus with just a little bit more. Klusman with about the same. Hoblex with around the same as them, to be honest. And all of them with brand new tyres, so I can't see who that was. All of them brand new tyres, so that's not going to make a hell of a difference. But Johnny with a decent bit more tyre wear, but a lot more fuel. Flipsy with even more tyre wear and a lot more fuel than that. Schaffner with basically brand new tyres and half a tank of fuel. And Jailbird was the one with the damage. He's got bigger damage and front left damage. So he's going to be going to the pits to fix that. Schaffner now with a 51 second gap. Jailbird now exiting the pits after the damage, putting more salt in his wounds. Nice clean racing between everyone at the minute. There's not been many incidents. Charles still with around a 30-second lead, so Plex isn't letting him gain that much. Klusman with a DLL driver, which he just had to overtake, but trying to just maximise anything which happened. And Hoblex now with Plexus behind him. Now with a 52-second gap as well, so he's pulling a second a lap at the minute. Johnny with a 43-second gap to Flipsy, but 52 seconds to Hoblex, so he's losing time but gaining time on Flipsy, so making sure he can stay in that position. Flipsy with a 2-second gap to Schaffner, and Schaffner with a lap, with 3 laps on Jailbird. So he's safely in 7th for this stint. Not safely in 4th for GT. And Plexus bringing the gap down to Charles for 29 seconds, so he is starting to pull it back a bit. So let's have a look at the other lobby, see how they're going on. So it looks like Ruffalo is in the lead of hypercars with F1 Dennis in second, Mazmau 67 in third, and Comfy in fourth for the hypercars. And Comfy is the leader for the GTs. Then there's Norshore, Zero Haku, Joker Benio, and D79. Comfy just lapping the Veltman Midsport Lamborghini of D79. And Charles bringing the gap back up to 30 seconds. So Plexus is just picking up on any mistakes, and Charles is picking up on any mistakes that Plexus does. Basically a yo-yo. Plexus taking the gap down by 2 seconds on Charles, so Charles is making a big mistake. Let's just take a lap on board with Hoblex, see what he's like compared to Johnny. Now you can see how GT's handle a lot worse than the hypercars, so you have to drive them a hell of a lot differently. You have to be a lot smoother and not as sharp on the brakes, otherwise you will lock up a lot more. Lexus has very short gearing, but well, very long gearing, and that could be base or it could be something off. And Clues me gonna see if it's a technical issue again. Bluesman just taking a bit too much curb and probably messing around in his head a bit. Like, anyway, back to the onboard problems. Now Johnny's dropped the gap down to 54 seconds. We're catching up on the Mercedes of Jailbird. And Charles dropping the gap back down to 29 seconds, so him and Plexus are starting to have a fight between each other. But I don't think there's going to be enough time for them to catch up to each other before the end of the race. Now 23 minutes to go, and you know what? Let's do another tyre and fuel wear. So Charles is looking pretty good on the tyre wear, and no hybrid, and just over a quarter of a tank of fuel left. Plexus has a bit more rear wear than Charles, so the back end is sliding out a little bit more, but with a little bit more fuel, but no hybrid again. Clearsman, on the other hand, with better wear than both of them, more fuel and a decent bit more hybrid. Then Hoblex has, as Flipsy's just gone into the pits to repair some damage. So Hoblex has a lot less wear than Johnny and a decent bit less fuel. Johnny, as we said, is a bit more fuel and a lot more wear. Schaeffner has about the same wear as Hoblex and a lot more fuel than him. Flipsy, after just coming out of the pits, has brand new tyres and a decent bit more fuel, so he's definitely going to make it to the end now. In Jailbird, having front end damage, so contact between Jailbird and Flipsy, causing Flipsy to go into the pits. Jailbird having a lot less tyre wear and a lot more fuel, so he's probably been in the pits recently. Charles with the gap back up to 30 seconds between him and Plexus. So they are literally just having a yo-yo battle between each other to try and see who can get away from each other first. Hoblex now with a 56 second gap, well 57, so still pulling away a little bit on Johnny, who now has a 52 second gap to Schaeffner, so he's more than happy with where he is, as well as setting his personal fastest. Schaeffner with 40 seconds to Flipsy, so pretty safe for the time being, in third place in the GT class. Then we have Flipsy, who had big contacts with Jailbird, I think, to force him to go into the pits and repair damage. And then Jailbird, who's 2 laps behind with front end damage. So it'll be interesting to see what Jailbird and Flipsy say to each other after the race. Charles still around a 30-second lead coming into the last 15 minutes. Plexus with another, with 5 laps on Klusman. So it's Charles and Plexus having very good time between each other, and Plexus has no need to worry about Klusman whatsoever. Hobblex with now 58 seconds, so pulling away a lot to Johnny, well, a lot from Johnny. So, and Johnny with a 57 gap to Schaeffler, so he's really putting his foot down and trying to make sure he can stay with Hobblex. Schaeffler with a 50-second gap. Yeah, 50-second gap to Flipsy. And Flipsy just having a bit of a moment spinning. Let's see what happened. Just coming into the bus stop. I think that's on the wrong thing, to be honest. So, that's my fault. I wasted everyone's time there. But Flipsy with rear damage again, so something's happened. Jailbird still with the front end damage. And Flipsy going back into the pits to repair damage. He's just repairing damage, not bothering with anything else. Hobblex now with a 60-second lead, near enough to Johnny. He has a 60-second lead, near enough to Schaeffler. And Flipsy gonna be pretty mad about this, but coming out of the pits again. Trying to lose as much time, and immediately has a hypercar right behind him. Flipsy going a little bit wide, getting just frustrated with himself, I think, and then getting lapped by Johnny. So Flipsy just not having the best of time at the end of this stint, after having such a good stint for the first like 3 quarters. Everything is just gone down the drain. Charles still with around a 34-second lead, so Plexus isn't letting him pull away that easy. But with less than a quarter of fuel left, is that going to be enough for him to get to the end of the race? Plexus, on the other hand, has a bit under a quarter, so probably will be enough. But will Charles run out a few laps before, like a few corners before the end? Hoblex still with around a 60-second lead to Johnny, and Johnny now with a minute lead to Schaeffner, so he's just in a world of his own at the minute. And who's that facing backwards? And it's Klusman again. What's happening here? Just coming through the S's. Just clipping the curb but a little bit wrong and taking, well, almost tattooing the car and having a bit of damage. Klusman has better problems with brake pedals. That's going to be a bit of a shit thing to drive then. Obelix, now with like a minute left. And Johnny just pulling away from Schaeffler even more, so he's, like I said, just in a world of his own. Just all he has to care about is the hypercars at this rate. But Flipsy just in the background, trying to get that lap back off him. In the final 10 minutes, is he able to do it? I'll put that as a no, and I am so sorry for that, Flipsy. I just cursed you. Let's move on from Flipsy, shall we? Let's go back to Charles. Now with a 35-second lead. Is Charles going to be able to get to 110 laps? Because if he is just flying. Charles now with nearly a 40-second gap to Plexus, so he is starting to pull away. Plexus pulling it back there. Like, these two just love a yo-yo battle apparently. Hoverlegs just absolutely flying away from Johnny at the minute. And has Flipsy in front of him to get a lap again, who's I've just done it again. I am so sorry, Flipsy, I've just done it again. I'm just not going to say your name. Right. Johnny has Plexus coming right back after him. I have no idea what's wrong with Flipsy the last couple of laps. He's just probably been fighting with himself in his head, trying to push to get the time back, and just pushing it way too far. But final 7 minutes. Flipsy probably going to stay out and just stick the damage this time. Trying not to lose as much time to Jailbird as possible. Johnny now just staying around the same pace as WEC, maybe just a little bit slower, but pulling away from Schaeffner a lot. So the GT, unless something major happens, is going to finish WEC, Johnny, Schaeffner, and then who knows what happens between Flipsy and Jailbird at the minute. And Klusman is definitely going to finish third in the hypercar for this stint. Who also has his hazards on, doesn't he? Never mind, that's just a bug between GT and Klusman getting right up behind Schaeffner, trying to push him along to lose as little time as possible. WEC starting to have the fuel light flashing again. Same as Johnny. Schaeffner just above that at the minute. Flipsy with even more damage. I'm just not going to talk about it at this point. And then Jailbird still sticking out with the front end damage. Flipsy very close to losing it again. Something's happened to Flipsy and just not helping him one bit. Klusman being 6 laps down at the minute. Charles probably going to do 106 laps, which is not bad at all. I think the highest which has been done at the minute is 104. But Charles now with a 40-second gap to Plexus, so starting to bring it back again. Flipsy now adding more in, so we'll have a 1 second penalty. Still not going into the pits though, with that much damage, and losing it again. I don't know what to say. Flipsy, I am so sorry. Every time I say your name, something happens. Obelix with a 1 minute gap to Johnny. Johnny with a lap on Schaeffner. Schaeffner with a decent chunk on Flipsy, who's very close to losing it again and finally not going into the pits. Gonna stick it out with the damage for 2.5 minutes that remain. Charles now pulling even further ahead, now 42-second gap. Plexus with you never know. He could have been abducted. Plexus with 5 laps on Klinsmann, so he's not going to be lapped anytime soon. And Obelix still just going around strong, still doing exactly the same times near enough, and just keeping it consistent. Johnny doing about the same, being a little bit slower. Schaeffner finally finding his rhythm towards the end of the stint. Flipsy I'm just not going to talk about, and Jailbird actually got a lap back on Flipsy, so now only 1 lap behind Flipsy. Coming around for maybe the final time for Jailbird. Flipsy off again, just doing burnouts at this point. But Flipsy probably won't get another lap in, so this will be Flipsy's last lap. Jailbird might be able to get back onto the same lap as Flipsy, but needs to get a move on if he wants to. Charles probably going to get 1 more lap in, same as Plexus. Oh no, Plexus is entering the final lap now. Klinsmann entering his final lap. Obelix just coming around for his final lap. Who's gone off? Who was that which went off? No idea. But anyway, Charles just sneaking another lap in, so 106 laps he's going to complete. Plexus just coming around. Schaeffner finishing his final lap. Just coming around the final bend now. So Schaeffner with 91 laps. Flipsy coming around to end his pain for the final half hour. I missed Johnny, I didn't see him there. Flipsy with 89 laps. Obelix and Plexus both come over the line. Schaeffner comes over the line. Charles goes to come over the line for his final time to complete 106 laps in a 2-hour stint. And now Jailbird just coming around the bus stop for the final time. Take it nice and easy there, Tim. Kill yourself at the final turn. And across the line. Jailbird able to get back on the same lap as Flipsy. And Charles taking the lead for the race. Anyway, that was the race. Well, stint 3, lobby 1. Here's the results, if anyone wants to know. And now it's time to say goodbye and pass you on to the next streamer. See ya.